Hey everyone, this is Helena. Welcome to the Master Your Magnetism podcast. I'm here with my husband Tom today. Welcome and thanks for joining me.
Yeah, thanks for having me.
We're recording this as a video for YouTube as well, so if you're listening to this on Spotify or Apple Podcasts or anywhere else and you'd like to see a video of this episode, that will be the first link in the description or episode details. You'll see that I am 9 months pregnant now. Our baby's going to be here in just a few days at the time we're recording this. We're so excited. And we recently posted a video called Say This to tell a man what you want in a relationship, such as more commitment or marriage or settling down and having a family one day. And after posting that video, we heard from a lot of women who are in situations where they've been talking to a man for several months or years, or they've been dating a guy for a really long time. And the question that kept coming up is, how long does it take for a man to know whether or not he's interested in pursuing you for something serious? So that's what we're going to be talking about today. Let's just dive right in. What's your answer to that question? What are your initial thoughts?
Yeah, I think first off, I can say it doesn't take a man years. I think if you've been seeing somebody consistently for several weeks or months, he generally will determine whether or not he's interested in something long term within that amount of time, within a matter of weeks or months. He'll know whether it's something casual in his mind or something that could turn into something more serious, a long-term commitment. Most men make that determination rather quickly because they're sort of hardwired to make that assessment on sort of a gut feel. They don't need a list of criteria or anything to make that determination. They'll know whether they're attracted to you, whether they're connecting, whether they feel like they're comfortable in your presence really quickly. And that's why there's really no value in trying to convince a man of your worth or anything either. He'll know and make that determination rather quickly, and it probably isn't going to change over the course of even the first few dates, and certainly is not going to change over the course of several weeks or months.
That makes so much sense. And we're not saying that a man is going to know whether or not you're the one he wants to be with forever within the first couple weeks or months, but typically I think men will know whether or not they're interested in pursuing you for a serious committed relationship. They're either feeling it for you and moving the relationship forward, or they're not. And often there's nothing you can do to convince him if he's not feeling it on that gut level, I think is what I hear you say. Do I have that right?
Yeah, and I think as you've said before, often how a relationship starts is how it'll continue. So if the relationship has been going on for several months or years, it won't suddenly switch gears. The mode that it's in is the mode that it'll stay in pretty much indefinitely. And so if it started out casually, it's not going to suddenly change at any point. So that's even further reason why the longer you're in a relationship, you shouldn't expect that his mind is going to change at some point.
Right. We've talked about this in some of our other videos and podcast episodes, the fact that how things start off in a relationship is typically how they progress. Now, we know that some men do come on strong at the beginning only to drop off or fade away after the first couple dates or the first few weeks. That's not really what we're talking about here. That is, by the way, why it's important to watch a man's consistent behavior over time and not get overly invested until some time has gone by and you've seen that his actions match up with his words. We'll talk a little bit more about that later in this video. But what we are saying is if things are starting off inconsistent or kind of stagnant, where you only hear from him a couple times a month, he's not really asking you out on consistent dates and showing you with his actions, not just his words, that he's serious about you and ready to move things forward, waiting around for him or making excuses for him and just showing him every single thing you have to offer is not going to magically transform a guy like that into someone who's all of a sudden ready and wanting to pursue you for something serious, right?
Right, exactly.
One question I know we're probably going to get is, what if he's busy? What if he's going through a transition or a difficult time in his life? And we've talked about this before, but I just think it's so important for everyone to understand. I'd love to talk a little bit more about this in this video too. What would you say to a woman who's dating or interested in a man who's really busy? Should she give him a pass, or are the rules different for a guy like that?
Right, yeah, that's a great question, because I think often there's this idea that everyone has this unique situation with a particular man who happens to be really busy. He just happens to have something going on in his life right now that he can't commit. And I think in reality, with a man who is actually really busy, and it's not just being used as an excuse, that tends to actually focus him and make him want to commit even more to a relationship as quickly as possible if he sees a future in it, because he simply just doesn't have time to spend on things that are non-value added to his life, things that are a waste of time. He just doesn't have that time or energy to commit. So it actually will be sort of the opposite, where it would tend to focus him more if he's truly busy and it's not being used as an excuse.
Yeah, you were the perfect example of that. When we were dating, Tom is definitely one of the busiest people I've ever met by far, but you made sure that we spent so much quality time together, and it was like that from the beginning, and that stayed consistent over time. I do also hear from a lot of women all the time who have met a great guy just like you, and he's really busy. Maybe he has a high stress job or something like that, but if a man's truly interested, he will absolutely put both feet in and devote his time and energy to something if he's truly ready for a relationship and he sees a future with you, right?
Right, exactly.
So is there anything else you would say or any advice you'd give to women who are dating or interested in a man who's really busy?
Yeah, I think one thing that maybe we haven't talked about before is, if you ask yourself, what are the chances that you have just happened to meet a man who happens to be in the bad season of his life, where he is just going to get over this hurdle and get past the whatever career or family issues and move on to where he's able to commit the energy, versus that this will be a continual problem for your relationship over the duration of it. I think almost certainly this is not a one-off occurrence. It's highly unlikely that people are meeting men in situations where it's just that rare bad season for them. Much more likely is that that is a consistent problem for them because they don't really have the time to commit to any person, or maybe they just simply aren't interested in this particular relationship. But regardless, it's highly unlikely that you have met a man who's just simply in a bad season and that that'll turn around at some point in the future.
I'm so glad you mentioned that. I've actually never heard you explain it in that way before, and I think there are a lot of well-meaning coaches out there, people giving advice where they say sometimes men just aren't ready for a relationship, and I think that that can cause a lot of women, especially if they have strong feelings for a man, to just wait around hoping that one day the guy's going to snap to and see her as wife material and put both feet in. But typically men like that, once they meet someone who they're truly interested in, they'll commit to her right away. I hear from women all the time who say they wasted years of their life literally on a man who met another woman that he truly was feeling it for, and he committed to her in a heartbeat. So we don't want you to be in that situation. I'm so glad you mentioned that. So there are 3 things we want you to do instead of waiting for a man who's not stepping up and pursuing you consistently. The first thing we want you to do is evaluate the quality of the relationship rather than getting caught up in the emotional connection or how you feel about him. So basically that looks like not making excuses for a man. Just because a man has opened up to you and you feel a really deep connection with him doesn't mean that he's ready to pursue you for something serious unless he's showing you with his consistent actions over time that that's something he wants. And that brings me to number 2, and that is ignore his words, watch his actions. So what are his actions telling you? Are these the actions of a man who's motivated to get into a relationship with you, or motivated to work on things and be a good partner to you if you're already in a relationship? We hear from a lot of women who are stuck on a man who says that he's looking for a long-term committed relationship, or he'd love to settle down and get married and have a family one day, but as his actions pertain to this particular woman, he's just not really showing her that. So the only exception we have to this is if a man flat out tells you that he doesn't want a relationship, or he just sees you as a friend, or he loves you but he can't commit, he's not ready for something serious right now. If a man's flat out telling you anything like that, it's important to believe him. But other than that, you want to ignore a man's words and watch his actions. The third thing we want you to do is be willing to walk away if this situation isn't in alignment with what you truly want for yourself in a relationship. If a man gets the sense that you're just going to be waiting around for him forever, there's no reason for him to make a decision or do anything different, because he knows that you're so attached to him, he can come and go as he pleases or treat you however he wants. And if he gets the sense that you're not going anywhere, you're not willing to walk away, that's a great deal for him. It's a terrible deal for you, but it's a really good deal for him. So there's really no reason for him to commit or start prioritizing you more if he just thinks that you're going to be waiting around endlessly, right?
Right, yeah, exactly. I mean, I think I got the sense in the first few weeks or maybe even month or so of our relationship that you were doing these things, that you were evaluating our relationship on the basis of the relationship, and that prior to us committing to something more long term, I got the sense that you were not overly invested in me specifically. You were still ensuring that this relationship was going to be something that was a quality relationship that would, last into the future, and that there was a connection between us, and that all the elements that were needed to make you want to commit and me want to commit to it were there before fully investing, I think.
I like how you put that. And it's not that I flat out told him that I was willing to walk away or anything like that, but you somehow got the sense that I wasn't just going to kind of wait around endlessly, right?
Yeah, it wasn't from a single statement that you made. It was from the way that you acted that I got the sense that you truly valued yourself.
Yeah, we talk more about our experience in our own relationship in that video that I mentioned at the beginning of this one called Say This to Tell a Man What You Want or What You're Looking For in a Relationship. So I'll include that in the description of this video or in the episode details. I'll also include a link to download my free 3 Keys to Attract the Man You Want report and audio training. That's totally free on my website, so you can go get your free gift, and all kinds of other things will be there in the description for you. This was great. Thank you so much again for coming on.
Yeah, thanks for having me.
Let us know what you think down below in the comments section. If you're watching on YouTube, don't forget to like the video and subscribe to my channel, and we will see you again very soon.